Mark, two exciting closes to your duels, men and women, with Lewis this past weekend. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, we wish it didn't come down to how it finished.
Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it.
But either way, it was good that we finished out the meet as strong as we did. We had to.
Well, tell us. Let's start with the women. What happened to the close of that duel?
Well, I mean, where the score was at after the first break, we were down by quite a bit. We had just a couple. I mean, it wasn't that we were swimming that poorly. It was just things happen in a meet, and for example, Carly Wood slipped on the block of the 200 fly. And kind of fell straight down, and I think had she got a clean start and got off, I think she would have been able to win that event. So that was probably a 10-point swing right there. But in the first break, we were down by, I think, 13 points. Kind of had a conversation with our captains on the girls' side and just try to have them take a little bit of ownership and get the girls going. And right out of that first break, our women went 1-2 in the 100 freestyle. So that was a big help. And then the 200 back, we couldn't really answer their girl who had a really nice swim. But then we ended up doing pretty well in the 200 breaststroke. 500 freestyle, we didn't have an answer there as well. Their girl, for whatever reason she did, we don't know, but she threw a tech suit on for that one.
What does that mean?
She threw a fast suit, which typically swimmers only wear when they're going for cuts or at a conference championship or national championship. But she wore that, so we couldn't really do anything about that. And we were 2-3 behind her. And then the 100 fly, we were able to put our hands to the wall first. So I think we closed the gap significantly going into the final two events. But I ran the numbers, and we had to. Well, if we lost the 200 IM, there was still a shot at us winning the meet by winning the last relay. Which you don't really necessarily want it to come down to the last relay, but during that 10-minute break, I even said to a lot of the girls that were right there and the guys, I said this is a dream dual meet scenario, like you want it, like you. The analogy I'd use is, even myself growing up playing baseball or shooting hoops, you want to be, standing at the plate, bases loaded. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, full count. You want that as a hitter, and so I kind of used that and just said this is a dream scenario. If we got to win the last 2 races to win this meet, and our girls responded really, really big time.
Who came through? Who were they?
Well, the biggest surprise was probably the biggest surprise was Haley Kopech, sophomore from Colorado. We kind of started experimenting with her in the individual events last year at more towards out of training trip. We threw her in the 400 IM. She won a lifetime best. She swam that event at conference and lowered her best time. But we've felt that we needed her in the 200 IM a few times this year in dual meets. But she ended up lowering her lifetime best in the 200 IM by 3 seconds and winning the race.
Nice.
Which was really nice to see. And then our usual characters in that event, they ended up coming in 3-4. So for us to go 1-3-4, that gave us a strong lead going into the last relay. But our girls that were on that relay, they weren't gonna back down at all.
Who were they?
The leadoff leg was Katie Hayes, and then we went with Shay Marcinski, Carly Wood, and then Alex Milhuff on the anchor. But those 4 girls stepped up and won that relay to close out the meet on that side.
Final team scores then? How much
I think it was 141 to 121 on the women's side. So it was it ended up. I mean, that's not close, but I mean, that's not like a big lead. That's like 2 event swings. Wow. So it was good.
And on the men's side, similar finish?
I think it wasn't as I don't want to say as dramatic as the women's, because I think that no matter what, had we lost the 200 IM, I think it still would have come down to the last relay. But when Anthony gave us the win in the 400 or in the 200 IM, I knew for the fact that the meet was even if Lewis went 1-2 on the 400 for relay, we still would have won the meet. So it's nice that when you know that, but you still win the relay. So that was nice to see our guys do.
Who else swam well on the men's side?
We had event wins out of Anthony Randa. We just learned moments ago that he was the GLVC Swimmer of the Week on the men's side.
Won 4 events, right?
Yes, he won 4 events. The 200 free was probably the, I don't want to say nerve-wracking swim of the meet, but and Anthony doesn't get run down normally on the end of a 200 freestyle, but Lewis's guy had a really good swim, was charging hard in the last 50, and Anthony won that event 142.90 to 142.91, so he won by 1/100th of a second. So that was really awesome to see. We had event wins out of Brian Hahn in the 100 breaststroke, Jordy Fortes Cadet in the 200 butterfly. Aaron Stanek was back to his usual self, winning the 50 freestyle. He actually slipped on the blocks really bad in the anchor in the 200 medley relay and almost fell in, and he would have had a lead, but he dove in behind, or he ended up behind going into the 25, and he still came out of the turn and ended up muscling through and winning, helping us win that relay, which was really nice to see. That relay was Chris Davison leading off, then Brian Hahn, then Jordy Fortes Cadet, and then Aaron on the anchor. Trying to think of who else we had wins out of. Keaton Durr won the 100 freestyle, which was really good to see out of him. His high school coach from Sterling, Illinois, made the trip to that meet, which was awesome. He texted me the 2 nights before the meet and said, "Hey, I'm coming. Don't tell Keaton. I promised him I was going to make it to a meet," and he made it to a meet, which was nice. And I coached his I coached his high school coach, so it was good for me to see Kyle as well. And then Anthony ended up winning the 500 free individually, and then won the 200 IM. It was just overall, it was a very strong meet for our men. And then our last relay was Aaron Stanek, John Palmer, Anthony Aranda, and then Keaton Durr on the end. And Keaton had one monster relay split on the end to hold off a charging Lewis squad.
Holidays are coming up. We know you always take a lot of time off then, being sarcastic. But what do you have coming up next?
Well, really, we got, this obviously the end of this week is pretty important in training because this is our 15th week of training, and our conference championship's at the end of 24 weeks. So it's not like we can train 14 weeks, take a month off, and get ready. Like this is our ramping up stage to get ourselves ready to be able to do the quality and the quantity of training that we're going to do over our winter break. So this week's pretty big. Next week's another big week. Then we're off completely the 20th through the 26th. Per NCAA rules, you gotta love those. And then we all meet in Fort Lauderdale on December 27th, and we're going to be training at Nova Southeastern. We're going to be there through January 4th. We have a huge dual meet, and when I say huge, it might be the biggest contest of our entire career, or
really?
career/time at as a program since it's being reinstated. We are going against Nova Southeastern, which is where we're training, but they were 3rd in the nation last year on the men's side, 4th in the nation on the women's side, and then Grand Valley State University is training there as well with us. Yeah. So the 3 of us are getting together for a meet, and their men were 5th in the nation last year on the men's side and 12th in the nation on the women's side. So
when is that going to be?
That is on Tuesday, January 2nd.
Okay, wow. You're always busy during the holidays.
So that'll be a fun one.
Yeah. Mark Gole with us here, and congratulations on your success against those.
Thank you very much.